The ball gown is done! So last time we talked about the Elsa dress, we went up until I did my fitting with my good friend Casey. I'll link her channel in all the places. She's awesome. Go check her out. Anyway, now we are going to continue on from the point of that fitting to the alterations needed to the end product. So let's get to it. So trying to figure out how to make the hem even and everything was kind of fun. I am going to like double check all of the measurements and make sure that I can make it as even as possible when I hem it, because the last thing I want to do is to actually hem this thing and then realize, oh, that hem is off. I started by marking out where the hem of the skirt was based on the markings from the fitting. And then I used my French curve ruler to mark out the cutting line. The back was a little bit tricky because I still wanted a baby train, but I also needed to make it even. After it was all marked, it was time to cut the hem. I'm going to have to take up the shoulders just the tiniest bit so that way they stay on my shoulder and don't slide off at all. It also helps with the fit of the neckline, which is really important, especially when you're trying to get like a really nice smooth look. I think I'm going to have to end up moving the center back placket, which is fine. And then we also marked how much I need to hem it up in the back and how to get that center front point that I'm going to want to get. Starting at the bottom of the bodice, I did the same technique as the skirt to get the bottom even and the correct length. I also took the time to take the extra material out of the center back. Off camera, I altered the shoulder seams because, you know, why move the camera for that? Now to the details. I am so excited about how all the little details came together. I used my gold accent fabric to make piping to finish the waist nicely, as well as a wide cut bias strip to accent the neckline of the bodice, similar to what is shown in the reference picture. I also sewed some piping into the neckline. This project reminded me of why I love piping, and now I want to do it on everything. That's acceptable, right? So the piping just like gave it the cleanest finish. I mean, look at that. Oh, I'm just in love. After the piping was sewn on, it was time to finish the bottom edge of the gold accent. I did this by carefully folding the raw edge under, pinning it in place before securing it with a felling stitch. The piping was secured with a new-to-me technique. Catch stitch or herringbone stitch right there, and what that actually did was not only finish that edge where all the piping and the raw edge is folded over, but it also made it so like this doesn't roll at all. If I would have just put a lining in, that would have rolled a lot. So I'm kind of like obsessed with that technique. Now to the shoulders. There's a good amount of floof at the shoulders. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. And I decided to cut out some petal shapes and burn the edges of my very synthetic material. But it was a lot of fun. And the burning technique is what gives them their texture and their shape. After pinning all of the floofs into place, I prick stitched them onto the dress in layers to get the full effect. Look at it! It's just so fantastic. I'm actually going to kind of put this on my body so you guys can like see the effect. It has like these wonderful leafy things. They kind of remind me of feathers, honestly. But I'm kind of in love. This will have a slight sweetheart neckline when it's like actually properly on, which I'm really excited about. It looks so good. With the waist and neckline details finished, I reattached the center back placket and cat stitched it down, as well as felled down the other side of the back opening. So for the back closures, I currently have skirt hooks going in. I'm not completely sold on the idea though, mostly because I'm worried about them coming unhooked while I'm wearing them, so I'll probably switch them out for hooks and eyes, which are less likely to come undone.
While I mulled over that decision, it was time to figure out the applique. I started by cutting out shapes from pattern paper until I liked the design. And because it's me, I pinned the pattern paper to the skirt to make sure I liked it. And yes, I did. Then it was on to making all of the appliques, which included ironing on interfacing to the fabric, tracing and cutting the shapes, and then pinning them to the skirt. I took my time to arrange the applique pieces because I knew once they were stitched I would not want to unpick them. I also used my ruler to space things out so that way they would be even all the way across the hem. Well, as even as they could be.
So I'm going to take the skirt hooks out and put hooks and eyes in, but the skirt does close with a hook and eye. So I have all of the applique done, which is super exciting. But the other thing that I did was I planned on putting a horsehair braid in the hem of it just to help give it some volume, but I have quickly run out of horsehair. So what I actually did was take 6 inches of velvet and I folded it in half and sewed it down, and then I felled it to the skirt. And I think I like this technique so much better. 1, it was just as easy as the horsehair. 2, I don't have to worry about the prickly edges of the horsehair. And 3, it gave it so much more volume. That it is fully appliqued. We'll bring you in closer. So what I did was I just ran a zigzag stitch over it, and you can tell in some places like it's not perfect, but when you look at it as a whole, you can't really tell. So you can see all of the body that we have in this hem. Ooh, come on, pin, you're supposed to stay where I put you. The applique gave it a lot of volume, but the velvet hem gave it like even more, and I cannot tell you guys like how happy I am with this, like overly excited. The other thing that I did, because I wanted the bodice and the skirt to function as a single garment, I put hooks inside the bodice and I put thread bars in the skirt. So the reason how come I chose to do thread bars instead of a normal sew-in bar or an eye was because I wanted the thread bars to be invisible. I also have 2 hooks on either side of the bodice right here, just to make sure it gets held up in the front as well. But the bodice applique is now on as well, which makes this ball gown complete.
But wait, we still need to build accessories, so stay tuned.